There were trials and tribulations for the Dodgers tonight, and there were trials and tribulations for us. Hi, everyone. Welcome into the Why Am I a Mets fan podcast. I'm Samantha Croston. That's Ashley Wenskoski, and we are two Syracuse-based sports reporters. Let's start with some full transparency, okay? Because we've been on a little bit of a journey tonight. We were recording after Friday Night Lights, our actual jobs, where we shoot a lot of high school football. For one reason or another, the recording had no audio and Ashley wasn't on it at all. It is now 1:25 in the morning. And I have to tell you something, Ashley. The reason why I decided, you know what, let's do this is because I was looking through those comments. And do you know how many comments were saying to us, hey, we really appreciate the late nights and early mornings that you're staying up to do this?
And you know what? I appreciate all of our people who think that. So thank you if you are here watching at a very late hour on the East Coast, a little bit of an earlier hour on the West Coast. Yeah, it's 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast. But you know what? We filmed a whole episode. We're running it back. We didn't come this far just to come this far. You know what I mean?
Our first episode was good, but none of
Yeah,
you will ever get to see that, and that's okay.
that's all right.
Let's talk about some other people who struggled tonight. We're talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They fell in game one of the World Series to the Toronto Blue Jays 11-4, the final score. This game, of course, at Toronto. And really, it was not one person in particular. Barger, Varsho, Kirk all have this home run parade. And it all really culminates in a brutal sixth inning for the Dodgers. And Toronto walks out of this on top. I mean, first thoughts from you.
Well, I'm going to start with what I started with in the episode that does not exist. The question that I had for you, which is, how worried about the Dodgers are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10?
And my answer to you that time was not at all. And then I said two or three. And I still think that's true because why I said not at all to start was ultimately just because I don't think that game one is the end all be all. They are ultimately going to be going back and playing in LA for games three, four, and five. And I do think top to bottom, the Dodgers still have a better roster. They have better starting pitching, and they have been in this situation before and they've worked it out. The only concern of mine at this point, actually, it's twofold. Number one, and I don't know why I didn't come to this realization earlier because clearly people have been saying it in the comments, but the Dodgers bullpen is not good. Number two is that Toronto this entire time has been branded as the comeback kids, and the Dodgers have just been steamrolling every single opponent. So if they're down, I'm not saying they can come back or they can't. I'm saying I haven't seen them in that position this postseason.
Yeah, and nobody has because let me find the stat again that I had here. This is the first team to beat the Dodgers in game one in the last six tries in the postseason. That does feel impactful, right? They haven't had to play from behind, at least from that game one standpoint. It did feel a little bit tonight like Toronto set a good tone for themselves. I mean, obviously at home in Toronto, Rogers Center was rocking. That place gets so loud. The noise levels were great. The Blue Jays did what they're good at doing, which is number one, coming back in games, and number two, having these offensive outbursts that you don't really know when they're coming, right? Obviously, we'll get into the Dodgers bullpen, we'll get into Blake Snell in a minute, but the Blue Jays, you just sort of never really know when they're going to strike. Their offense is like a little snake in the grass, could be coming at any point, and when it does explode, they reap the rewards of that. I mean, they were really, truly the first team here throughout this postseason to give Blake Snell a hard time.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I mean, to start, let's get into it. Trey Yesavage, again, is pitching for the Blue Jays. He went four innings pitched, four hits, two runs, two earned runs, three walks, five strikeouts. Has he had better starts than he has tonight? Sure. Is this still unbelievably impressive for a 22-year-old kid who has been through every single rank from like T-ball to the World Series? Yeah.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Trey Yesavage is pitching for the team that plays in Canada, but he is quickly becoming America's sweetheart. I mean, he's 22. He rose to the ranks in like a year, like you said. Just phenomenal stuff. I mean, you saw the cutaways of his family with Shohei Ohtani when he struck out Shohei Ohtani early on in the game in the first inning. His family's like crying, hugging each other in the stands. Like, honestly, awesome stuff. I came across a stat which is crazy. That Yesavage right now makes $57,000 a year. And he
Hmm.
obviously opened the game by striking out Shohei Ohtani, who makes $47 million a year. Quite the disparity, and that right there is why baseball is a beautiful sport.
Does Trey Yesavage want to work for our sports team as an analyst? We can hire him. No, I think that's amazing. And listen, you look at those first three batters, right? For him to go out there, strike out Ohtani, Betts grounds it out, and Freeman grounds it out, you are walking out of that first inning just feeling so good about yourself. Like that is a memorable moment that you won't forget. No runs are scored until the top of the second. That's when the Dodgers go up 1-0. And we were going through this before, but by the top of the third, this is when the Dodgers go up 2-0. Honestly, it could have been more. And I think Yesavage did a decent job figuring out what to do there. But still, you see the Dodgers up in game one of the World Series, 2-0. And honestly, you're thinking, this could be it. I said this on the last one, but I'll say it again. To me, in that moment, I was thinking this is going to be a game one victory for the Dodgers by a final score of 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what obviously if you're the Dodgers, like you it was right there for the taking. You had your chances to win that game. You Savage had a good game but wasn't perfect. We've seen him actually pitch in and out of traffic pretty well.
Yep.
That seems to be something that he's good at. So, if you're the Dodgers, obviously it was right there, but then you can't unfortunately control really what happened with the pitching and what happened with Blake Snell in the 6th inning.
And that is the funny thing. Like, Savage did a good job, but he definitely lost control of the zone a few times. Like, there were opportunities there to get in his head, and they couldn't do it. What happens ultimately is in the bottom of the fourth, Snell is still pitching. Varsho homers to center, and now the score is 2-2. It was a two-run homer. This is when all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is the comeback thing they were talking about? Whoa. This is why Ashley's going to have to make a movie about all the times that she said that the Blue Jays were irrelevant because it's turning out like they're pretty relevant.
You all know that I am 3 Blue Jays wins away from making a compilation that is not going to make me look very good. And I'm going to do it if they win. I'm telling you.
No, she said she would. So, all right, 2-2, and ultimately, still, the reality is it's anyone's game, but they're in Toronto. It's a more of a nerve-wracking feeling, I think. I think if you're a Dodgers fan, that's one of the first times, really throughout the entire playoffs, that you're probably up pacing. You're feeling what it's feeling like to be, for example, not I'm not even going to say a Mets fan because they weren't in the playoffs, but you know what I
Nope.
mean. Bottom of the sixth is when things truly go awry.
All right. I mean,
It
the wheels fell off the bus, the ground fell out from under Blake Snell, and also the Dodgers and their bullpen.
Bottom of the sixth, 9 runs, 6 hits. It goes from 2-2 to 11-2. And it wasn't one person, right? You have, I mean, Varsho on here, Barger on here, Kirk on here. It's just one after the next after the next. I was I was really in awe of what I was seeing from the Blue Jays, and I feel like I need to put some more respect on the Toronto Blue Jays after tonight. I was unfamiliar with their game a little bit. I really
No,
was.
no, it was, I mean, it was just diabolical. So this inning, Snell starts it, right? You can tell it's the 6th. He's getting a little tired. All right. He loads the bases. Nobody's out. I mean, if you're a Dodger fan, like you're already like panicking, and then this inning turned out to be your worst nightmare. He hits Varsho with a pitch to load the bases. So then they call in, here comes the Dodger bullpen. Okay, nobody wants to see that coming. Ernie Clement delivers again. By the way, Ernie Clement, a native of Rochester, New York, which is near us. Fun fact for you all. He's been great for the Blue Jays all postseason long. And then it just got out of hand so quickly, right? You blink and it's 5-2. They get the first out of the inning on the 7th batter, and it was George Springer of all people. So you're like holding your breath because it's Springer up to bat. No one could stop the bleeding. I mean, Dave Roberts was doing what he could, switching guys in and out, doing matchups out of the bullpen. Nobody can stop the disaster that's going on here. And then Addison Barger just, I mean, he was just the straw that broke the camel's back. The grand slam with still one out in the inning. He makes it 9-2 Toronto. And at that point, you're watching the Toronto fans lose their mind. I mean, when Barger hit that grand slam, pretty much the game was over. And I'm sorry if you disagree, but that's sort of just the facts of the situation. Also, it was the first pinch hit grand slam in World Series history, which I think is really cool. Barger's been really hot, all throughout the playoffs and on the bench tonight, but he continued that even in the pinch hitting role.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my question to Dodgers fans is what would you obviously it's easy to look back now and judge all of the decisions that were made, but genuinely, if you're the Dodgers manager, what are you doing in that situation? Because of course they're panning back to Snell a million times after everything is playing out the way that it had. But really, if you were in that position and the bases were loaded and there were 0 outs, what would you have done? I'm mostly asking Dodgers fans not as like a trick question, but truly because if you watched 162 games of the Dodgers play in the regular season, I want to know whatever it is that you may know. Like knowing what they know about the bullpen, would they say it was too fast? You should have kept him in. But I just can't, like any other manager in that situation, I'm thinking that's the right call, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't watch 162 games of Dodger baseball, but I do think that maybe it was, I get it, right? Bases loaded, no outs. All right, he's getting tired. It's the bottom of the sixth. I do get why Roberts took him out there, but at the same time, it's like, you have a bullpen that you don't really trust. Maybe you give him one more batter, you know?
Right, right. And that's ultimately the question that I have on my minds for Dodgers fans. Beyond that, Otani homered because of course he did.
Ohtani homered in garbage time. Didn't matter. Nice to see, but not impactful.
Yeah, it was the top of the seventh. I mean, impactful just in a he's great and he continues to be great sort of
Of
way. But
course.
beyond that, and this is something that we talked about the first time. I wish I could find it. If I can find it quickly, I'll show you all. Like I'm just gonna look up if I and see if I can find it. But essentially, oh yeah, here it is. Otani, I thought this was cool, and this is a point I was trying to make earlier, covered the most valuable player engraving on his NLCS MVP trophy with a team effort sign after the Dodgers won the series. My point in bringing that up is to say Otani does not give a rat's ass if he homers in the seventh inning of a non-competitive World Series game.
No.
He wants to be a back-to-back World Series champion. You know what I mean? That's what
No,
team's all
yeah.
about.
I think that's really cool that he did that, and I also, yeah, I mean, obviously that didn't do much for the Dodgers. It's like a nice moment, get some morale back, but also it's like it's 11-4, and you're in Toronto, and it's the seventh inning. You know what I mean? You didn't really ever feel like the Dodgers were going to come back and win that game. And I am just going to say it for a minute here: the bullpen is the glaring issue, and I think you even look at Snell. Not that Snell pitched horrifically, but if he does have to make another start in this series, that's on the top of your mind if you're a Dodger fan. But beyond that, I mean, the hitting didn't really, yeah, they scored 4 runs. One of them's on one pitch to Ohtani. Like, you didn't really see them get the momentum throughout the lineup that you know that they're capable of. And if they are to now come back in this series, and if they're going to tie it up tomorrow night, I think that's critical.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And I think my my question to you before we get out of here would be, what do you need to see from this Dodgers team in game two outside of a win? Like, what do you need to see in order to feel more comfortable?
I mean, a couple of things. First of all, if you're the Dodgers, Yamamoto's pitching. You need Yamamoto to pretty much pitch a gem and to also not only pitch a gem, but to get you deep into the game, right? Because now this bullpen, you used half the bullpen tonight, two-thirds of the bullpen. You not only need to give them a rest, but you also don't really trust anybody that's back there. So Yamamoto going deep into the game, I think, is really important. And then I think, like I said, the lineup clicking is crucial. That's what's so dangerous about the Blue Jays is you can put up a lead on them and they will find a way to come back anyway. So, your 4 runs, your 3 runs aren't going to get it done because they will pounce later in the game. Um, I think if you're a Dodgers fan, do I think all hope is lost if they lose on Saturday? No. But do I think, of course, you're going back to Los Angeles for games 3, 4, and 5? Like, it's still a doable path, but you don't want to go back to Los Angeles down 0-2 in the series. I mean, of course you don't. I think tomorrow is as close of a must-win game as it gets for the Dodgers at this point.
Right. Because realistically, if they won that game, of course the possibility exists that they win three in LA, but they probably don't. Let's just say they win two out of three in LA, then at least you have 3 wins. You just have to go back to Toronto and win one. I don't think a situation that you want is to have to go back to Toronto and win two.
No, I
That's a
completely
situation that,
agree.
you know what I mean? And you can avoid that by winning the game by winning game two, I think. So I agree with you. I think it is a must-win game as well. Final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up and get out of here.
Final thoughts? I mean, look, the Dodgers are a great team. We know it. They could come out Saturday night completely guns a-blazing and blow out the Blue Jays in game two. At the same time, I think you are seeing here why the Blue Jays felt like the more dangerous opponent out of any team to get out of that ALCS for the Dodgers because the Blue Jays have a niche. They're good at it and it works. And not only that, they have galvanized an entire country, an entire city in Toronto. They have a whole lot of people behind them. And the momentum that they have right now coming off of that ALCS could continue to be dangerous. I think if you're the Dodgers, you have to stop the bleeding and you have to stop it tomorrow.
Also, here is one intangible that I just think we should account for, which is that I think in some ways Toronto is just hungrier. There's just no way around it. There is nothing you can show on the stats to prove that. But the Dodgers were just here,
32 years for the Blue
and it's
Jays.
been 32 years for Toronto. That's a different kind of hunger in these situations, and what you can be sure of is that they are not going to let a moment, an opportunity slip here. Thank you so much, everybody, so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. It really helps us out when you do that. 1:40 a.m., but we do it all for you because we really, really appreciate all of the support that you guys have given us throughout this World Series. So expect more content to come. We'll see you back here when the next big thing happens. Have a great night.